What's up? It's Friday, and that can mean just one thing. It's Invisible Walls on GameTrailers.com. I'm Shane Satterfield, editor-in-chief of the site. We have an awesome show today. We have a special guest here. Pete Wannat is here to talk to us about Wanted Weapons of Fate. Brand new game coming out that's based upon the movie franchise, but completely different, which is something unique and exciting that we're going to talk to him about. We also have a big GDC preview show. We're going to talk about the two big keynotes that are going to be there. We're going to run through the three platform producers and talk about what they're going to show. So without further ado, let's get it going.
Now there is no one left to protect you.
All right, now we're going to go around the horn and let you know who's in on the show today. As always, Marcus Beer sitting to my left.
I just want to say, come on, Wales against the Irish tomorrow. We're going for the Triple Crown. It's rugby. It's a proper game, sport type thing. But
It's not even soccer.
No, it's rugby. It's internationals, and it's the Welsh against the mix. Come on, the boys tomorrow.
Now, do you play rugby?
I played rugby as a kid, and I broke my wrist twice playing rugby, but then I just decided to drink.
There's a field right across from my apartment where they play rugby every Sunday, and those guys are burly. I gotta hand it to you. Now I know I have two broken wrists.
Yeah, I was one of the guys who was like too fast to be tackled by the big guys. I was like one of the girls.
Or
in the
too
back,
scared
so.
to be tackled by the big guys.
It's amazing how fast you can run when you're your pants.
Right next to him, we have Pete Wannat. He's the executive producer of Wanted Weapons of Fate. What's up, Pete?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the crew, bro.
Good to be here. I never played rugby, but wanted to give it a shot. I played lacrosse. It's close.
That is close. Indoor lacrosse is especially close to rugby. And we have Brooks Huber.
Nice. Did you know that today is my 1-year anniversary with Game Trailers?
Really?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's it been for you, man?
It's been great.
Yeah?
I'm still here. I'm still on the show.
You don't have to lie.
Twisting my arm. I'm all right.
Didn't you say you were firing him today?
Yeah, oddly enough. Look at
What I get on my
Brooks'
1-year anniversary?
Push it back one more day.
Get me all scared now.
Congratulations, Brooks. It's been great to have you on, man.
Nice. Thank you.
And Justin Spears sitting in.
Yos.
The Quiet Fury.
Yos.
Ryan Stevens is here, but it looks like he's sitting in the bullpen.
I'll be on later. I don't know if that's getting picked up anywhere.
And tonight I just want to remind you, Game Trailers TV on Spike TV at 1 a.m. We have the world debut of the brand new Wolfenstein game. The game is looking really hot. I know I seem to say that every week. But Wolfenstein, we were really, really impressed with it. We also have an interview with Vin Diesel. So don't forget to check it out, 1 a.m. tonight on Spike TV. Now we're going to go sort of platform by platform and talk about what we're going to expect at GDC. First up is Nintendo with the Wii and the DS, the DSi. Will it be out in the States by next week?
No, it comes out in April.
So shortly after, I'm sure
Yeah.
the DSi is going to be there in all its glory. More importantly, I think we're all looking for some actual software for the Wii. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice to have some classic first-party stuff from Nintendo and not Wii Music too.
Well, I think we're definitely going to see Punch-Out, because we just found out Punch-Out comes out in like 2 months, which
Yeah.
they haven't shown the game yet. They have to show it at GDC. Nintendo does typically have a pretty impressive presence at GDC.
Well, if they're going to announce anything, maybe they're going to announce their big Christmas title this year. Hopefully it is something
Wii Sports
friggin'
Resort.
cool.
They keep pushing that one back.
It'd be Wii Winter Sports Resort if it was this Christmas. You have to get to do skiing and all that. No, I mean, I'm hoping that there's a Mario game or a Zelda game or something they've been working on that they are just going to pull out. Maybe there's a Metroid, something that's going to blow us all away.
It's Zelda's turn, I guess, basically. They usually alternate Mario, Zelda, Mario, Zelda. So I would expect to see a new Zelda before
about
we see a
Kirby?
new Mario. Nobody cares about Kirby. Kirby's a wee rival.
Well, I mean, they've said Pikmin 3 is definitely in the works, and we haven't seen anything. So maybe they could show Pikmin 3 now, riding on the heels of the Wii Play or All Play.
What's
new
pissing me
controls.
off is the Wii Motion Plus. It's this sort of gateway to play the Wii the way everyone thought they were going to be able to play it when they first saw the commercials for it. And they keep delaying Wii Sports Resort, which is going to release Wii Motion Plus. So you got to wonder, maybe Pete, has that been sent out to the development community? Are you guys able to work with the Motion Plus?
We have not. We have sort of doing a couple different things, thinking about different games for the Wii, but we have not worked with the Wii Motion Plus. It's disappointing to me that sort of 2 years after the console comes out, now you're finally getting a controller that makes it work as intended.
The way it was advertised?
I'll be interesting to sort of see how. We've seen it at demonstrations and how it works. I mean, the same as all of you, but in terms of how games are going to make use of it, I don't know. What I'm most disappointed in, where's the great third-person game, the third-party game for the Wii. Where's that game that comes out of nowhere that's not, and I'm not counting anything done with an animal with a Z at the end. Okay, like zebras,
Hamsters,
Tigers.
our
Yeah,
favorite game.
That does not count as the product that sort of is going to revolutionize the Wii. Right now, until the Wii starts getting those games in, they're still going to be seen as by mass market mass market gamers may embrace it, but hardcore gamers are still waiting for those really good games. And it needs to come. It can't just be a Nintendo game.
Right.
Where's the great game from Ubi or EA or
Now, Pete, I'm glad you're here to talk about this. We mentioned this 2 weeks ago in the show that we almost feel like publishers are refusing to admit that they were wrong about the Wii. That they sort of put all their eggs in the basket with the PS3 and the 360 and HD games. That now is it either too late for them to go back and change and divert their development resources to the Wii, or is it that they just don't want to hedge their bets?
Well, first off, who's buying, unless you're doing horses, who's buying those games for the Wii? Nobody buys anything that's made by a third party. Why should third party games come and take extra effort or time to make games for the Wii when Wii owners don't buy them?
But
they
isn't
only
it a
buy
chicken,
Nintendo stuff.
chicken or egg situation
Well, I
where
think
you've
that's
got to
the-
make the games first to see if people will buy them? I mean,
But I think it's
what,
also the
the first
hardcore.
good third-party game is Mad
Carnival
World.
games sold like million copies, and kind of in the middle, the Sonic and Mario at the Olympics sold ridiculously well. Still,
Okay, but you can't anything with Mario on a
right,
Nintendo
that's why
platform.
it's kind of like
that
kind of in the
count.
middle.
Just
though.
because Sonic was on.
But
there.
I mean, look at Capcom re-released Okami, and
Okay.
it tanked again.
I think
And-
the difference is that hardcore gamers will only buy stuff from Nintendo first party because they know the third party stuff is crap. The third party stuff, because so little time and effort goes into putting a decent game behind the license, the consumers can buy it.
That's someone's old
The consumers can buy it in smaller numbers, and you still turn a profit because you've put a piece of shovelware out there under the Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus.
Well,
Who's gonna be
Mad
the
World
brave
is
soul?
pretty good.
Yeah.
No, but Mad
No one's
World's
mentioned
different.
it.
Mad World is actually one of the first games for the Wii that I'm excited about.
So they're doing it,
It's a
maybe.
grown up, yeah. But
Who's going to be the brave soul other than Sega? Obviously, that was I think the first third-party game released exclusively for the Wii, where they actually spent some time on it.
Well, I
but
hope
who's
it-
going
yeah, I
to
hope it does
create?
well.
Who's going to create a game like Resident Evil 5 for the Wii? I mean,
no
EA
one, because the
something
Wii
that
can't
has all-
handle it.
No,
the
the
Wii is
new,
like having a Sega Genesis.
No, the
no, I don't mean from a
it's like
technical level. I
no,
mean,
the new EA.
I mean, the game is built
Yeah.
from
They
the
just said it's
beginning
gonna
for
be-
the Wii.
That
to
it's going to be
maximize.
as long as the Dead Space game
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
Wii is going to be as long.
To be fair,
It's an
EA
on-rail shooter, though. I mean,
But EA have announced that they're putting a whole
game.
bunch of development time behind developing new product for the Wii. Some stuff is going to be like Dead Space, but they're going to be putting out a bunch of new titles. So maybe EA is if EA can take the lead on this, great, because they have the resources to throw behind it. Yeah, we know from a technical standpoint the Wii is as powerful as a first generation Xbox. But it's out there. There's 45 billion Wiis in every single household.
I mean, how can publishers and developers turn their back on that kind of an install base?
I don't think so, but the point with the Wii game is if you spend any more than a certain amount of, it's like, depending, like if you spend anything over like $500,000-$600,000 for the Wii, you'll never make your money back.
But how do you
So
know
there's
that
no-
unless you make a AAA game for it?
But what I'm saying is you already know that if you go over that, you run into serious risk. The first couple games that came out for the Wii, people spent, a lot of money on, and now they're not making the money back.
What game, though?
It'll
they
be
spent a lot of money on.
Well, I mean,
I haven't seen a third-party game that they spent more than $2 million on.
$2 million. Do you
Period.
have any idea? Like $2 million, like you pretty much are guaranteed that you're going to lose money on that title.
How do you know
Like,
that?
because
though?
I
until
heard
you
Red
try.
Steel cost a ton.
Right. The
that game was
math
crap.
just doesn't make it. Look, I mean, that's the bottom line. Is this is all financially driven.
But how many games for the 360 or the PS3 that you spend 4 times that on end up making money? And then you're in the hole even farther.
But the attach rate on the PS3 and the 360 is higher than the attach rate on the Wii.
Because there's only crap games
we
for the
only
Wii.
buy Nintendo games or animal games with a Z at the end.
Hamsters.
It's just like it's really hard to make money on the Wii, and that's
Maybe
why
you
you
just
haven't
need to put a
seen
Z
it.
at the end of your game.
Yeah, that's
Whatever
right.
it is. Slap a Z on it.
Wanted.
We did Scarface on the
Weapons.
Wii, and it was it did okay, but
But I mean, that was a game that had already been released for other
right,
platforms.
but
It wasn't an
hey,
exclusive.
but we did it months after the original game came out. We took time to change all the controls in it to make them, with the Wii masturbatory controls, so that you're sitting there and you're pounding your pud and getting getting your chainsaw going. But like
And your balls meter up.
Say hello to my little friend!
yeah, right, exactly. But the point being is that it's really hard to make money on the Wii, and unless you spend like $350,000 or $500,000, you're not going to really see any return on that investment. Yes, you are going to have you can spend a ton of money and maybe you'll crack the code, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? And by the way, it's very hard. Like Mad World, it'll be interesting to see what they do because they're really sort of getting this more mature content. And it'll be interesting to see how that sells.
Now, from your perspective, how many copies do you think Mad World would have to sell before you'd be like, it can be done?
I think they have to sell like 2-3 million units.
Whoa!
In order
Really?
in order to do it, really see sort of a giant problem.
But how many games on the 360 or PS3 sell that many? I mean, like 5 a year?
But on the PS3 and 360, like it's like Marcus said, people are willing to buy games from other publishers.
Right.
On the Wii, that just
but I'm still
doesn't
saying
happen.
raw numbers: 2 or 3 million copies sold. How many games on the 360 in its lifespan have sold that many? Like,
yeah, but if you you've got the attach rate for the other consoles because they're generally owned by hardcore gamers who will invest more than the casual gamers. Then you've also got the price point. The price point is higher on the 360 and the PC and the PS3 than it is on the Nintendo.
You don't have to sell as many.
Yeah, so you don't have to sell as many because at the end of the day, Nintendo still takes its chunk out of your $40 price point, almost the same amount that Sony and Microsoft take out of your $60 price point.
but your development is 5 times more on a PS3
But
or 360.
right? If you develop for the 360, you've got a PC version that's very easy to produce, and that's almost like a free SKU. Not quite a free SKU.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close to. It's not maybe not totally free, but when you do a 360 and a PS3 and a PC, that's one development.
So that's
chunk.
really the hook here.
Okay,
Is that you can make one game for 3 platforms.
Nintendo wanted to be all clever and go off and make their their Wii motion control and all that stuff, and with something that's not even next generation. Well, guess what? They made it so you can't, if you do a 360 and a PS3, you can't port it over. It's not easy.
You have to cut features for a start.
And by the way, it's what we call lowest common denominator development. Not easy to say. But what it is essentially means if I make a game, okay, and this is a great example on Riddick, okay? So we made Riddick it was for Xbox only, okay? There was no PS2 version, there was no GameCube version, all right? And if we had to make Riddick to fit on the GameCube, okay, it would have been so watered down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So now every game that you think, like, look at any sort of big hit title on 360 and PS3, okay, that's sort of across and PC, in order to make that for the Wii, you have to dumb it down to almost make it like a PlayStation game.
Right.
Less than a PlayStation 2 game. You know what I mean? It's just it cannot deal if you want an extra, and they did that because they wanted a lower price system. They weren't going after they were getting their ass handed to them trying to compete with hardcore gamers. So they said, you know what? We're not going to bother. We're going to find our niche little mass market audience, and they have succeeded overwhelmingly so. But do not expect the rest of the industry to get down on its knees and blow Nintendo for, to make games for that system when you can no longer use it in the same porting mechanism you could when you could do a PS3, 360, and a PC version. You're out. You have to really, and to do it well, like the Wii can have unbelievable experiences, right? But you have to really stop and make the game just for that system, which means if it works for that system, you can then no longer take it and up-res it for the other systems because it won't sell. It's all gestorial based. It's like
maybe pay PSP or something like
that.
Right,
but even then, it's still you had all those control mechanisms to make it fun for the Wii. Now go right out the window. So you've done all this work and you can't do anything else with it. You can't port it over to any other systems because it doesn't work with the controls. If you want to do that, you have to change all the controls, even if you want to do it on the PSP. Right. You got to make it work for PSP controls. No longer can you do the gesture-based stuff.
Right.
So you're really getting narrowed into that one narrow market. And like I said, what sells there? Nintendo games.
Now, based upon your opinion, do you think that the Wii is just basically stuck where it is? I mean, it's just going to be a collection of minigame games and
stuck where it is. It's huge mass market, little kids and old people play it.
So you think it's going to stay pretty much?
And Nintendo fanboys will play it too, sure.
Yeah.
And by the way, they make awesome. When Nintendo makes a game, their games are awesome. Those games kill. You know, if you look at the biggest game of last year, you could make a case that Mario Kart was a bigger game than any other game out there last year. If you have nieces, nephews, kids, younger brothers, like that's all my nieces and nephews want to play. They want to play. They love that game
with the steering wheel.
With the steering wheel, but even without, they love it.
So your forecast for Nintendo pretty much stay in the course. Hardcore gamers still not going to really enjoy it all that much.
They shouldn't care about hardcore gamers. They don't need to. They have enough market. Like when everybody else was zigging to go for high-end graphics and super expensive machines with Blu-ray and online play, they said, "F- it, we're going to do games with crappy graphics, with basic control play, but change it up so that it's different and innovative, but in like with the Wii board and with the balance board and having all these attachments and remotes and they went for a very different type of audience, and I think they hit a home run. I think Reggie's laughing his ass off because
all the way to the bank.
Yeah, and by the way, it's less risk for them. They spend far less on hardware, so it means every time they sell a Wii, they make more money than Sony and Microsoft that take a bath every time they really sell one of their console units. So Nintendo, I mean, the joke's on everyone else. Nintendo did very well, and if they're smart, they'll continue to aim for that side of the business because Microsoft and Sony have pretty much been in this battle that Nintendo knew they couldn't compete in. Now they don't have to.
You want a little more?
Bring it on, baby.
All right, next we're going to talk about Sony. And when you look at Sony and Microsoft, typically Sony has been the bigger of the two players at GDC. As we mentioned earlier, they showed off Home for the first time at GDC, Little Big Planet. Usually they make a big splash. No Phil Harrison this year. Usually he's the ringleader up on stage making all the big announcements. What do we think about seeing it? It almost feels like Sony's kind of shown its hand at this point. I mean, I'm sure we'll see.
I know the guys from Sucker Punch are going to be there, and the guys from Insomnia are back from their cruise from the Bahamas. They should be there as well. But
Insomniac.
Insomnia, yeah.
Maybe that's what you have.
But it seems like they're more of their typical recruiting stations upstairs.
Yeah.
So, the Sony camp hasn't really been taking advantage of, well, I guess we'll talk about Microsoft next, but the Microsoft lull right now.
Well, I think Sony they started off the year with a bang. They had a great Christmas. They had Killzone 2 coming out and it's doing very, very well. Resistance PSP's come out and is doing pretty well. Maybe they're saving their wad for E3.
I think the interesting thing will be to see what Kojima's next game. Is it going to be another PS3 exclusive, a Sony exclusive like he usually does?
Straight to the iPhone.
Yeah. Or is it going straight to the iPhone? Or is it a Wii game? Or is it going to go cross-platform? Or maybe the announcement is just Metal Gear Solid 4 for the 360, which people have talked about for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many rumors around Kojima. I mean, I've heard,
He's a mysterious guy.
I've heard he's opening up 3 offices in the United States, but they're all going to be in Kansas. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
The
but it makes
hotbed
total
of game
sense.
development.
Maybe he wants to do a Combine Harvester type simulator game. Metal Gear harvesting.
Well, honestly, could they not really just show Uncharted 2 or God of War 3 and basically
win the show?
Win the show.
If they showed God of War, I mean,
they could show
they would be mission accomplished.
one of Kratos' pecs or something, and everyone would be like,
I mean, they have a demo ready. We already saw them. They demoed the game for us. I'm sure they could put that on the floor with 15 kiosks and off they go.
But they didn't let press play it, right? Last time?
No, but at the beginning, it's God of War 3 demo. At the end, it's like, coming soon or something. It was
demo.
totally ready to release to the public. So.
Minimal bugs. Were there lots of bugs in it, or
I didn't see any bugs.
Maybe we'll get to play it for ourselves.
Saw some chimeras though.
Uncharted 2, obviously another big game. I'm assuming they'll show something of, but beyond that, I mean, we know Insomniac's working on something new, obviously, and they'll be there.
Maybe they'll whip out Mag.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Don't forget Mag. They should team Mag up with Jag.
Maybe there's a new Ratchet.
Old people like Jag.
Perhaps there's a new Ratchet and Clank in the works because it's been almost 14 months since the last one, and the last one was really good.
Well, they did put out the DLC that was like its own little episode or whatever, which was really good. I was really impressed with. But you're right, they're due for another full length.
I'd like to see more Heavy Rain personally. I mean, I loved Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit or whatever, even though it kind of had issues. I still just had to try to do something kind of new, and I feel like they have some good tech there. But I don't know, those guys are in Europe. Are they going to bring them over here for this?
I mean, if they're going to bring them over, when else would they bring them over besides E3?
Yeah.
They did it last year with Little Big Planet.
Yeah,
that's true.
Or maybe
I think Little Big Planet they had a lot more push behind Little Big Planet than I think they're going to do for Heavy Rain.
But they also tend to place an emphasis on their really original products at GDC. And I think
that's
Heavy
definitely
Rain
true.
is definitely the most innovative product that they have.
But
in
with
their
Phil
development.
gone, will someone be like, we need to fly these guys out of England now? Because England's awesome.
And maybe we'll see more Little Big Planet stuff, because it was interesting. I was in GameStop 2 weeks ago, and I was just asking about their second-hand business. And the one game that's not coming back in to be traded is Little Big Planet on the PS3.
Really?
People are keeping hold of that. They're creating their own content. They're not trading it in. They'd actually said they had one returned copy, for trade-in since the game launched.
Wow, that's good.
I also heard another rumor that they're making another controller. I don't know if that's going to bear fruit at GDC, but maybe be the place to debut it.
Well, honestly, Little Big Planet, I don't think sold as well as any of us probably hoped or thought it would.
I think it did better in Europe.
Yeah,
I think it did a lot better.
I think it's continuing to have like decent sales. Like if you like really dig in the NPD, it's always in like the PlayStation 3 top 10,
yeah.
even though it's not breaking into the overall top 10. But I mean, that's taken up with Wii Play.
I think it is one of those games that'll have legs, and it'll be one of those games that still sells well for 5 years on to the console's life cycle. But I'm sure they probably hope for a little bit more of a push out of the gate with that game. But yeah, you're right. Maybe they show new DLC for Little Big Planet. That's the great thing about that game. There really is no end to it, right?
No, it's absolutely. I mean, new content, whatever. I think Sony again. this is their year. We know they got God of War. We know they got Drake's, and I think they might even save those till E3. Those might be their big ways to own the show there, and perhaps given what they announced last year and the year before, maybe they'll have something new for Christmas now that they'll teaser, and E3 will be the big official unveil again. So
well, E3 usually is what they reserve that show for. Big announcements, new games, things they haven't shown yet.
I'm also interested to see what they do with the PSP. I know, we're at Destination PlayStation, and there was a lot of stuff there for the PSP. It was amazing how hot the PSP was, and it seems like a lot of the games that are coming out for PSP. So every big franchise title that they have, I think even Resistance is getting a PSP
Resistance
version.
for PSP is great.
It's like the fact that there's all these new PSP things, and there's talk of this PSP 2 with the flip top. I don't know how much of that's real versus rumor. I think it'd be interesting to see what they do there. And the other thing is that for Sony, PS2 is still one of the largest selling consoles.
Month after month.
It's just unbelievable. Like we talked about a lot about the Wii. I mean, PS2. Maybe not for hardcore gamers, but there's still a huge segment of the population that are still buying PS2s. And that catalog is sick.
Oh, yeah,
if you want to buy someone, like a younger kid, a game system, buy them a PS2, and the games there have all been marked down to
You won't see that kid for like 4 years.
Crazy degrees. I just don't think the PS2 is dead, but I think really the fact that the PS3, having just finished a game for it, like that console, I pray. We literally could do games for that for 10 years. They don't even have to change anything. Like, they are going to do enough awesome online stuff that having a Blu-ray, having the space to put a game on the Blu-ray player is sick. Literally, you have to be, if you're going to max out your Blu-ray, you just have to be
lazy,
overindulgent,
right?
So that I think that anybody sort of complains about the amount of space on a Blu-ray disc, they're insane. Like, you can do. I can't even imagine what with compression technology in the next 5 years, that stuff is going to be. How much capacity you can put on a Blu-ray disc is just sick. So that as far as having a console ready to go for the next, for the long haul, for me, I'd love to see the PS3 have a 10-year life cycle from here out.
From today.
I think there's no reason to think that that Sony should be looking at the PS3 as a long-term win, because I know when it first came out, people looked at it, it was sort of like, it was like having a Ferrari. Like, not everybody can afford a Ferrari, and people didn't even know what to do with the components it had. But now, all of a sudden, several years later, having free internet online isn't so bad. They've redone their interface problems. Home, I think, is going to be sick. When trophies become direct rewards in home, I think that'll be something that'll really make, it'll give you a reason. You're no longer just playing for achievement points. Now your trophies earn you things that you have in home. Like, now all of a sudden that becomes currency. Like, I want to play this game and beat this game because I want
a couch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But hey, play an MMO where suddenly you're trying to build up your own house.
Yeah.
Like, here's a thing where you can do it on console.
It's true.
I mean, I think that I think Sony has a really, is in a really good spot, and it'll be interesting to see what they say at GDC.
And Sony have said again this week that they're not dropping the price on the PS3.
I don't think they should.
No, I
what
don't.
you're getting for what you're paying is more than worth every penny.
And I'll hold my hand up because 12 months ago I was saying it was way too expensive. But looking at it now, when we did the comparison of what you get out of the box on the PS3 and what you get out of the box on the 360. The PS3, it gives you wireless, it gives you the cables, it gives you the hard drive, it gives you a lot of things that you have to shell out for on the other console. So, I mean, I hold my hand up, and, good luck to Sony. I don't think they need to, especially, as the years go on and, everybody else's consoles are going to drop in price, they're going to start making a profit.
Now, Pete, do you think it's inevitable that Microsoft will either switch to Blu-ray for the 360 or have Blu-ray in their new machine?
Here, I think the only way that they don't have to do that is if they put bigger and bigger hard drives on their system. In other words, if you don't go for the Blu-ray route and everything comes downloadable, I mean, look, we're moving to downloadable. It's going to happen.
It's inevitable.
Downloadable everything, because we're literally in a retail crisis right now, where retailers don't want to take enough of a product to make it financially worth doing. I mean, that's a major problem, and it's not just, that's across the industry. I mean, maybe certain games like Resident Evil 5 probably doesn't have a retail problem, okay? But on the same token, like, the amount of used games that are destroying the industry, like, you want to know why, sort of like you're getting fewer quality product. It's harder to make games. Games are more expensive, and when you have every time sort of a game gets resold, that really takes a chunk, because the people who look, the bottom line is, if you're a kid at home listening to this, you're like, F you, I have only so much dollars to play. Like, if I want to buy, I want it for the cheapest price possible. How does that hurt me? Why should that hurt you? Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a kid, you go buy whatever you're going to buy for the best price, and that's used, so be it. But when people buy a used game, what happens is that none of the people that worked on the game to make the game are getting a cut of that. Right. So I'm not talking about the publisher getting its cut. I'm just talking about the developer that's getting a royalty that's now no longer getting a royalty because it's being sold used and you get none of it. That's got to stop. And the only way for that to stop is to have it be downloadable. And I think we as an industry are moving in that direction.
But the top retailer is the one that's cannibalizing the industry. So couldn't the publishers just go to GameStop and be like, look, you need to stop selling used games, or we're going to stop supplying you with product, and then your business is done.
That would require some actual leadership in the industry, and we all know that the ESA couldn't organize a piss up in a brewery.
Seriously, though, I mean, it is killing the industry.
But on the same token, GameStop also has a lot of control, because they are a huge retailer within the industry, and they'll tell you that, most of our money is made by selling used games. Like, that's how we make money. So, I mean, like, I don't fault, GameStop. Like, I get it. I get why they do it. It sucks for us on our side of the ledger. But the same token, like, what it's going to lead to is we are heading for the inevitable scenario of downloadable content as the actual game. So you buy the downloadable game, you probably have to pay $10 less or $15 less for it, okay? But then you own it. Can't resell it. Can't send it. Like, if you want to go and know how it's done right, go on Steam. Yeah. Go get a Steam account. If you don't have a Steam account, like, go sign up for Steam. Like, the way they do it, where you can gift a subscription to your friends, and you can, I had bought Counter-Strike on its own. Then I bought something where it included Counter-Strike in it, and it came up and said, hey, you already own Counter-Strike, and you're buying it as part of this other game. Would you like to gift your old Counter-Strike game to someone else?
That's awesome.
And I put in their email, and my buddy called me up. He's like, hey, did you just send me a free game? I was like, because look, I mean, the Valve is super smart, right? They get it. Right. They're doing downloadable content in the correct way. If you're a PC gamer, thank God for it, right? Yeah. But we're heading there. It's going to happen, because we cannot support a retail industry where, obviously Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft all take their cut. Then, the retail takes their cut. It's like, and then they resell our games used and we get nothing out of it. If we were if every time they sold a resale game, we still got our cut back,
be great.
But who cares?
Yeah.
That's all they have to do is make it sort of more fair, and somebody at some point will try to do that, but it probably won't be until there's a strong downloadable initiative.
Yeah, I think right now, if the industry went to GameStop would say, you, we don't need you to send us all the new stuff, because they can go buy it from Best Buy and then they'll come and trade it in with us, and we'll just keep on, trading.
But
it
it's
in,
the new
in
games
that
that
way.
get the people in the
But
stores
the
to buy
industry is never going to tell GameStop no, because the bottom line is the industry needs GameStop. GameStop's awesome. I mean, if you make games for a living, like, you can't survive without them.
Right.
Like, you need that, and they're awesome. Like, I buy all my games at GameStop. Like, they do a great job, and I mean, if you want to say yes, I support this title, go pre-order games. Pre-ordering games makes a huge difference. So if you like a game, pre-order it, because
that's what affects the overall order.
it lets them know what games are going to be hot and how many they should order. And so, like, if you believe in a game, pre-order it. And I think that's a good step. But they need it. But we don't tell Blockbuster no. And what do? They rent our games, or GameFly. Like, they do their
They're
game
probably the
rentals.
worst offender of all, right?
I think if you look at it, I mean, the sooner the industry goes to downloadable, the better, because it takes out Blockbuster, GameFly. And I have a GameFly account. It takes out GameStop, and it takes out, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest evil of all in Walmart. Because those guys have said
they're dictating content.
Yeah, they're dictating content. So you take those guys out, and then all of a sudden you can actually have way better content. You can have content that's for grown-ups or for little kids. You can have content management systems, and stuff is delivered, and it's cheaper, and you don't have to worry about printing out manuals or manufacturing boxes, and more.
And
money
that's,
goes
by the way,
into
that all
testing.
costs extra money too.
Oh, yeah.
So
That goes into I think. Especially, I was actually in bizarrely enough, the Mac store on Saturday, and I saw a 2 terabyte hard disk drive for $260.
how awesome!
Terabytes. If Microsoft can't get Blu-ray, well, how about they do their own 2 terabyte drive? They sell it for $150, $200. You plug it in,
Because they'll never sell it for $100.
Yeah, they sell it for like $7,000.
Well, just somebody do a third party that you can plug in to augment, and you don't have to worry about Blu-ray. You just download it, and you've got a 2 terabytes. Of
I
game
bet you we'll
space.
see a console come out very shortly with a terabyte drive.
Will it be called the Phantom?
You can't eat me! I'm not aiming for you!
All right, last, and I don't know whether it's going to be least or not, it's kind of looking that way. Microsoft at GDC. I don't know, man. The momentum really seems to starting to fade for Microsoft at this point. Not a whole lot of games on the horizon that really have me all that excited. Obviously, they get all the good third-party stuff, but as far as first-party exclusives, maybe this is where they finally show some stuff. We don't even really know any big stuff coming out this year. I mean,
They're not showing anything.
they're not showing anything.
It's all like, we're going to talk about X and A.
Maybe they're
Stay
saving.
tuned for E3. I mean, I talked to Aaron Greenberg back at CES, and he's like, yeah, don't expect anything from GDC. And it didn't really seem like a smokescreen. He seemed a little apologetic.
We've got a lot of tools in the XNA platform that are targeting at the professionals, at indie game developers, at hobbyists, as well as the academics. And so regardless of where you are within that continuum, we've got a tool set for you.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 49. Don't forget tonight on Game Trailers TV on Spike TV at 1 a.m., Wolfenstein Blowout. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check GameTrailers.com for GDC day and night coverage. We will not sleep. We promise you to bring you everything first and in high definition. We'll see you next time.